Andy Shepard with a new personal best, far shy of the race leader's time. Then Hunt in fourth place, Campbell and Ellis at 29 that time round. And this time his rival Bancroft is 2 seconds quicker than the 73 car at the Mansell.
Here we are at the autumn meet of the Castle Combes race circuit with Bristol car here, and this is the commemorative meeting here. I think the racetrack opened about 1954, and it's a wonderful day here. There's symmetry in the day and there's symmetry in the car here, and we couldn't get a better day than we've had so far. Now, one of the interesting things about this is that this little car behind me, the Wingfield Special, may possibly achieve its fastest speed ever today. So the race is coming on in about an hour's time, and hopefully we might beat that record. So it's going to be something rather special for us. This is the longest race of the day, a 30-minute race, and it's a 2-driver pit stop race with Peter Campbell and Andrew Mitchell behind the wheel of the Wingfield Special.
It's my local circuit. I know it reasonably well, and we had a good run round last year in the Special, so yeah, fingers
And what was
crossed.
your timing last year?
I honestly can't remember precisely. We finished fairly well up. We've got a huge grid this year, and we're in the middle at the moment, so really we've got to finish. That's the main thing.
And you're driving to get day with Andrew Mitchell's going to be driving as well.
Yes. Greater love hath no man than he lets his friends drive his car, or Brian's car.
Right.
So Andrew's really familiar with the circuit. He's a great driver, and he very kindly let me borrow his Alpha at Silverstone. We shared, and so. Yeah,
would you say you're a better driver than him?
No.
Not
to camera, I wouldn't.
I know, I think we'll be asking the same questions though.
Yeah.
But how long have you been driving the Wingfield?
About 3.5 years now, so it's amazing. It's been quite a journey. We've come from really quite a ratty, not sorted, and now we've gradually refined it. Not doing anything amazing, just making all the normal things work properly.
Yeah. And can you just tell me why you got into this one particularly? I know you probably saw when Brian had it.
Yes. I didn't realise I joined an enormous queue asking if I could possibly buy it off him. He rolled his eyes and said nope. But 2 days later he rang me up and said, would I like to borrow it? But considering the amount of money I've now poured into it, I think he's a very canny chap.
So
it's a lovely car.
It is a nice car, yeah. So, yeah, I think I saw it when it was originally. Was it red when it came to my father?
Yes,
so
yes.
Yeah, but how often do you actually drive it then?
Only really for races.
So, and how many races are there a year?
It's a horrible car to drive on the road.
It's not very easy to get into, is it?
Yeah, it's all right, but yeah. No, I don't use it very much. It's probably been out five races this year, which is about enough.
And if I had to ask you one thing that you love about Bristol's, what would it be?
I think the history and the fact that they just jump out of my period, the 50s, the Eagle Annual and all these daring chaps doing amazing things. And I just remember them. Le Mans, it's fabulous history and they're lovely people.
Good.
And the cars are quite nice too.
Good. Okay, well, lovely. Thank you very much.
Nice
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks very much.
What I like about the Wingfield Special is that it's a car that you could at one time built as a young man in a shed or a garage somewhere with very little money. After the war, a lot of young men were able to build specials, and they could do it in a garage or in a shed somewhere without any problems really from all the rules and regulations that exist now. It's such a great shame because it's something that they are missing, and we can see it, the result of it, I suppose, from the Wingfield Special, which epitomises that aspect of doing something on your own in a shed somewhere. I feel very sorry that a lot of younger people can't actually participate in the way that I was able to in my youth.
How do you find it? You've driven it this morning, haven't you?
I've driven the car this morning, yes. Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant fun. It's brilliant fun.
Yeah.
Handles beautifully, slips and slides, and we're having a really great time in it. Middle of the field at the moment, but this afternoon, hopefully, we'll be up the front.
Yeah, this is the car you haven't built yourself, is it? You have built 2 or 3 other cars, haven't you?
Yeah.
Body Bristol.
That's right, yep, I built 2 over the years,
Yeah.
no, they've been brilliant specials to build.
Right.
And now it's great fun to drive somebody else's car, especially somebody like Brian Wingfield, who's very well known in the racing circles.
Right. And you're sharing the drive with Peter Campbell, aren't you? Would you say you're about standards rather similar, or?
Yeah, Peter Campbell goes, I think, at similar speed to me.
Yeah.
I expect he thinks he's a bit quicker, but I'd like to think I am.
Well, we've got the race to come, so we'll find out a bit later on. Is there any particular thing you like about this car, bearing in mind it's a 1957 car?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the handling, really. I mean, all Bristol engine cars handle. The engine's nice and light, and it's just so delicate to handle, drifts nicely.
Yeah.
A little bit of power steer, and just really easy car to drive.
Right. Now you've been into Bristols for some time now, haven't you? And you're still working on them now as Mitchell Motors. How long have you been running as Mitchell Motors now?
I've been in Mitchell Motors for 25 years, since 1988. Father started in '62.
Right.
So we've seen a good few Bristols through the years, lots of them, yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, your wife isn't here today, just as my wife isn't here, and is that a good thing or a bad thing? Or is that, do we have to live with that?
I think we have to. I mean, your wives tend to come along, they enjoy it, but then they soon realise that watching you go round and round in circles, it's not quite as exciting as being in the car.
Now, in the past, Peter's been driving the car, and how is it you've come to drive with him?
Well, these days there seem to be a lot of 2-driver races. Peter was driving the car on his own, and I've invited Peter to drive my Alpha in some 2-driver races. We've split the races, and now he said come along and drive the Wingfield, and that's why we share the car.
Is that the way things are going for some people?
Seems to be. It's a good way to do it, bit of camaraderie.
Yeah.
Splits the costs, obviously, which is helpful. It just seems to be a nice way for people to carry on.
Do you think the competition between yourself and the other driver also helps?
I don't think it can do any harm. I think a bit of competition between the pair of us is a good thing.
Right, that sounds good.
That's exactly, yeah.
Now, despite the fact the Wingfield is up against a lot more powerful cars, it will still do very well and could be well in the last few cars. Whether we get a cup or not, well, that remains to be seen. There they are, with about 3,000 horsepower amongst them, and not a single horse in sight. This is a 1950s Intermark race, and some of the cars that are taking part are Bristol AC Ace, Aston Martins, Cooper Bristols, Triumph TR2, Fraser Nash, Jaguars, Lotus Elite. Now it's rather interesting because the smallest size engine is a Joic Jupiter with a 1481cc compared to a Jaguar XK150 of 3800cc. The Wingfield, of course, is 1971cc. So these cars are not actually all equal in power. That has to be taken into account, of course. If you're thinking of buying a race car, it's very interesting the different ways cars drift around bends. Now just watch some of these cars and see the way the back goes round. It looks like the offside wing is coming adrift. I'm sure that didn't look right. Now I made those aluminium wings on a wheeling machine years ago, and they were all held on by a 3/16 stainless steel nut and bolt. It's surprising how much strain is put on these cars when they're racing, and most of these cars, of course, are being driven flat out. Problems here and there must be expected. It's not my poor workmanship. Either Andrew has had contact or it's stress on the wings, and they have pulled through the bolts. Well, there's Sir George White. Well, the back of Sir George White. He and his family have a long history of cars and aircraft manufacturing. And here he is today with his own Bristol 400, and he's watching the race with enthusiasm. Now here we have one of the later Bristol models, the Bristol Fighter. My daughter Fiona picks up the story now with the owner in between the races.
I'd just like to ask you a little bit about your Bristol, if you can tell me a little bit something about it. The blue one.
Well, it's a Bristol Fighter, built in 2006. It's one of only 9.
Yeah.
It runs an 8-litre V10 engine, and this was Bristol Car's own car. I bought the car at Christmas last year. It was a present for myself and my wife, a Christmas present to ourselves. And the story behind it is in 2006, Claire saw this exact car in the Sunday Times and said, when we sell the business, you can buy me this car. And that's the exact car we bought.
So how long was that till you actually owned it?
Well, 7 years.
7 years.
So,
and was it for sale when you came to...
It was, strangely enough, it was for sale. And there were 2 others for sale, strangely. Considering there were only 9, 3 were for sale. Wow. And we've bought it to drive, and we've been all over Europe in it so far, and we intend to carry on doing so.
Yeah, and would you say that you'd buy another Bristol?
Yes, absolutely. I'm actually talking to the chap that owns the only automatic one to see if he will sell me that one.
Okay, to have as well?
Yes, to have as well.
So, okay. If you had to sum up one word or one line of what you love about the Bristols, what would you say?
Individuality and eccentricity.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much, Nick. Nice, thank you.
And how long have you had your car, mate?
I had it since 1966.
1966, goodness. And where did you buy it from?
Well, it was in the scrapyard at Briley's scrapyard in Twyford in Berkshire, where I used to live near there.
Right. Well, that was about the time that I was looking in scrapyards to see Bristols, and you would find them in there, wouldn't you?
Yes.
I mean, it's surprising. A lot of people don't think so now because they're so used to seeing cars all done up, looking very, very nice.
Right,
but I mean, they were at one time, weren't they, in scrapyards, in Aston Martins and Jaguars and that sort of thing?
Oh, yes, definitely, yes.
Why haven't you done it up? Have you kept it on the road during that time?
Well, I have got a picture of it when we put some paint on it in 1966.
I see, right.
And it's taken me 48 years to get it like this.
Right. But you're using it, and it's going as well as it should be.
Yes. Oh, yes. We've been many miles and many shows with it, and it's so easy to look after because a dog climbs up on the side, and people lean on it and put their tea on it, and it's a lovely shaped car. Although it possibly, in some people's eyes, it needs painting. But to me, I'm so used to it like it is, was we put cellulose paint on coach paint.
Right.
And then gradually the consequences.
Yeah, and of course it is aluminium body car, so in actual fact you don't get the rust as you do. And I mean, a little while earlier on you were saying about keeping a car and not always keeping it under cover, or where you get condensation and that sort of thing. And these cars are can stand outside conditions, providing you don't get them too close to the ground. I think that's the important thing.
That's right. Even if you do cover them up, you mustn't have the sheet touching the ground. And about 10 years ago, Anthony Crook came along, and he was very interested in the car. And he said, we built these cars to last, and we'd like to have this one in the workshop to see how well it has survived.
Right.
And I went down to the airfield, and I couldn't find the entrance. I looked all round, and I'm not a townie, I don't like towns, and I came home and never succeeded.
Oh, I see, right.
So we never got it there.
No.
But it has survived very well. There's 2 parts under the chassis which we've had to mend, one each side where the outrigger is.
Right, yes.
And that was like 25 years ago.
Right.
And it just sailed through the MOT.
Well, it's so nice in a way to see a car like this, because this is how a lot of them were at one time.
Yes.
And for many years, of course, I mean, a car wasn't worth the cost of a good respray.
No.
So you had to work to a certain sort of price if you were storing, and I was restoring them then.
Yeah.
And I could never do a good respray because it cost too much.
Too much.
Yeah, but there it was.
Yeah.
But the cars have survived because they were so well built and
that's right,
built to last. And I mean, one of the reasons I liked the cars right from the very beginning was because it was made by an aircraft manufacturer, 100 miles an hour, and it was aluminium body at the time when I was fiddling about with rusty old cars and never getting to the end of it. So anyway.
I remember you saying that on the DVD that was on BBC Two.
Oh yeah, several careful owners.
When Richard came to see you,
that's right.
That is a classic, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That's right. Yeah, that was on YouTube, you know, but the BBC took it off because of of copyright, which I think is rather a shame because I mean I did it FOC. There we are. That's how things go.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks very much indeed for saying a little about your car. Yeah. And can I shake your hand? And
thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. And thank you for the hat.
Yeah, it's a very enjoyable day.
It's so nice to see a car like this because it compares and with some of the cars that are beautifully turned out here, as we've all seen, and so there is a place for them. And also, you find that they attract more attention than probably some of the nicer ones because people say, "Why haven't you painted this car?" But there we are. I mean, that's a beauty about these cars. You can do what you want. If you want to keep them like they are and just have them on the road, well, then you've had that opportunity. Did my eyes deceive me, or was that Jensen Button in the Formula One? Blink and you miss it. What a lovely shot of a Bristol 405 drop head. This one is a left-hand drive model. Mind you, they only made about 42 of them anyway, so this is something very rare. Another nice shot of a Bristol 400 with the front opening doors, the suicide doors as some people would say. Some of the 400 was fitted with the spare wheel on the boot, and some, the earlier ones, with the spare wheel actually inside the boot, but with very little room for the weekend case. Now this is the Bristol 406 Special, but as you can see, a very special. This is Mike Waller's Teardrop, Vigoni and Fallaci inspired Teardrop Bristol. A real head turner for the connoisseurs. Well, there's nothing to be ashamed of here. The Wingfield has done really well, bearing in mind it had to come off the track because of the loose wing, but nevertheless it's still come fairly well up in the field. So well done everybody, and I'm certainly very, very happy, and it's been a jolly good day, and we're looking forward to next year, 2015. So I hope you'll come along and see us and enjoy some of the fun that we have on the track with the Wingfield Special and the team and everyone else, of course, because everyone plays a part of such an enjoyable afternoon. So from me, from now until then, bye for now.